Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to week 6 of 8 Weeks to Launch. Now, I'm going to play for you a video. Hang with me here because I have a purpose for it. Here goes.
And listen, story about a man named Jed, a poor mountaineer, barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground come a bubbling crude oil, that is, black gold, Texas tea. Well, the first thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. The kinfolk said, Jed, move away from there. Said, California is the place you ought to be. So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly Hills, that is, swimming pools, movie stars.
The Beverly Hillbillies.
Remember the Beverly Hillbillies? I loved that show when I was a kid, and now here I am, 54 years old, kind of identifying with Jed Clampett. Just think about it, a poor mountaineer, I guess that's me here in Colorado. Jed just clunking along in life, barely keeping his family fed. And here I was in 2019 as a public school teacher, barely clunking along and next to poverty. Then one day, pop, I put a tent in my backyard and discovered there's a whole market there ready to buy in to the bubbling crude of glamping. That's my gold, my Texas tea. And that's my story. How about you? If you've got land, that bubbling crude is just bubbling away underneath that property. And here we are in week 6 of 8 Weeks to Launch, and we're going to discover how to tap into that bubbling crude and get the most out of our opportunity on our properties. This is part 2 of properties. It's 25% of the class, these two episodes of properties, because really property is where the wealth is. Remember Ray Kroc's correction when asked if he's in the hamburger business? He's not in the hamburger business. He's in the real estate business. So are you and I. We're building glamping operations just like Ray Kroc is building hamburger stands, but we are more real estate developers. That's what you learned last week. We're putting the glamping operation on top of real estate, and that's really where our true business is. We're land developers, and we are the coolest thing since fast food. We are all over it. Last week, we covered the legality of placing a glamping operation on your property, but that's assuming we've got land, the perfect land. But none of us are really in the perfect position with the perfect piece of land to start this thing. You might not even own land yet, but are just scoping out the possibilities, and you want to know exactly what to look for. You might have property, but you know it's not ideal. Perhaps you're thinking of relocating or making a tweak to things to make your property more suited for a glamping operation. You may already have some glamping rolling along on your property, but you want to add more properties and expand your operation. This week, we're going to talk about finding and financing the properties that are out there. We then will explore how to enter the world of glamping without owning any property at all, but that will open up opportunities for us later. So this is week 2 of our 2 sections on properties, week 6 of the greater 8 Weeks to Launch class. Let's get going.